Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for December 7, 2020. And we begin with our lead story that the chickens have come to roost as Chick-Fil-A sues poultry supplier alleging price fixing. The price fixing has come about by federal lawsuits against several of the country's major chicken suppliers who engaged in basically a decade-long price fixing scheme and scam. Now Chick-fil-A is suing Tyson's, Pilgrim's Pride, Sanderson's, Purdue Farms for coordinated pricing and collectively reducing production to push up prices. It's not really surprising, but it's actually pretty gratifying to see a follow-on lawsuit by someone who has been specifically damaged by the illegal actions of the chicken suppliers. So it's going to be interesting to see the final resolution of this. Obviously, there are a limited number of major chicken suppliers in the United States, so if they decide to tell Chick-fil-A to kiss off, it could be difficult, but I'm sure Chick-fil-A has thought that one out. Next up, from the Financial Times, yet another example of Wirecard fraud was that Wirecard fugitive Jan Marsalek is alleged to have violated international governance rules and banking laws in an incident flagged to Germany's financial watchdog BaFin in 2019. The incident described in an EY audit report show that Marsalek granted a deferral to a 11.3 million euro loan given by Wirecard to a borrower who was in arrears. The reason this was illegal was that Marsalek had no role at Wirecard Bank, and under typical corporate governance rules, he could not do that. Nevertheless, he did so. The bank was flagged by the bank's audit report and other problematic conduct, and then it went to perhaps the most corrupt of all German regulators, BaFin, who, while regulating BaFin, was actually regulating Wirecard, allegedly, was actually investing in Wirecard and Office Pool. So once again, huge conflict of interest by BaFin going forward. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal and the CFO Journal, they posed the question, will companies face more pressure to disclose ESG data under the Biden administration? Well, I think the answer is pretty easily to that, yes. Companies have needed to disclose more information on carbon emissions, diversity, and other type of sustainability metrics for some time now. Investors want to see that, and I'm relatively certain that the Biden administration will require this from companies going forward. The Trump administration, of course, tried to scuttle all that because they didn't want any carbon or climate change or carbon emissions data out in the public to demonstrate how bad they have botched climate change. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. And finally, the Bank of England has been rebuked by a parliamentary committee for losing approximately $67 billion of paper money missing from the country's cash supply. And further criticism, and only in English criticism could be so concise, seems to lack curiosity about this issue. The Bank of England basically has not done anything to see where the money could be hidden. And where the cash is in the country of England, which obviously is going through a pretty tough time with the coronavirus health crisis and the upcoming hard Brexit. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.